Hello, everyone. This is Coach Oliver once again. Welcome to the semifinals of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Berlin, Germany. And here we're going to do a recap of the game between Aronian and Dominguez. And warning, just a warning, just when you see this game. I mean, I don't suggest this, especially with our young players. Don't try this. Don't try this at home. Yeah. This is a very complex, very sharp, and so bizarre. I will just do it as fast as I could because some of the moves, some of the lines I don't even understand. Yeah, so this is go through quick. Let's have a quick recap of this game. I started with d4, d5, c4. Okay, now the queen's gambit accepted by Dominguez on c4. He takes c4. Okay, e4, white controls the central squares. At the same time, it opens up that line for the bishop to take on the pawn on c4. Black protects that pawn on c4. Okay, a4. All right, so I direct attack on the defender of b5. c6. The pawn on c6 protects b5. The b5 pawn protects c4. All right, takes on b5, takes on b5. Okay, just to give you an example here, another tricky line here would be e3, right? If we look at b5 here, let's say a4, c6, if black plays the same, this is wrong, right? If takes. Now white has queen f3, and white wins a piece. So actually, I don't suggest this idea of taking on c4 and this is b5. Unless you're well versed with this one and you're ready with the complications, because one mistake here is just lethal, it's deadly. Okay, you have to be ready, you have to be well prepared. Okay, so e4, b5, a4, c6, takes. Knight into c3, okay, the knight attacks the b5 pawn. Queen to b6, the queen protects the b5 pawn. Okay, another way here, maybe a6 is also a possibility. Takes, and rook a8. This is a bit more complex, but it's common in top level chess. Then the bishop goes to b7, rook into a1, e6. Yeah. This is also a line. Nakamura plays this line as black, and some other top players. Okay, so here Dominguez went for queen to e6, and quite interesting. There are quite a few games with this line recently, especially with the younger generation. So king b6 protects b5, the knight into d5. Wow, okay, I attacks the queen and the c7 square. Queen has to go b7, keeping an eye on c7. Bishop f4, reinforcing the knight. So c7 protects. The bishop protects that square. e5, black sacrifices the pawn for faster development. Takes an e5, knight into d7. This is just mind-boggling, yeah. Okay, the main thing about knight d7 is that if white goes to c7, king d8, if you take that rook, there's bishop b4 check. Yes, because the knight is not on d5, it's already on a8. Yeah. Earlier with knight on d5, it's protecting d4. Okay. So you have to go king e2, right? But queen takes d4 is a mate. Okay. That will end on the spot. So you got to be careful in this kinds of situations. And this is a super sharp game, super complex. Yeah, not for the faint of heart. Yeah. But okay, I mean, that's chess. Anything you can do on the board, let's do it. Yep. This is not boring. So bishop f4, knight gf6, developing the knight, inviting knight c7. Okay, let's go. Knight c7, king d8. We could say that the king is safe because there's a pawn behind that file. Okay, it's the white's pawn on that file, so it's not an open file, so the king is safe for now. So knight takes a8. Black also has this counter play with queen takes e4. Knight into e2. Queen takes a8. You relies on these three connected pawns against the lonely pawn on b2. If the game goes into the endgame. But unfortunately, in positions like this, normally it ends in the middle game, yeah. f3, taking away the e4 square and blocking this line from a8 to h1. Knight into d5, bishop g5 check first, f6, b4, bishop d2. So Aronian protects two important squares, b4 and e3. Bishop d6, knight g3, queen into b8, queen and the bishop is attacking the g3 knight. King f2, protecting the g3. Rook e8, rook on an open file. Although it's really hard to explain all of this, but let's just keep it simple. Yeah, well, this is just this basic concepts. Yeah, let's try to incorporate the basic principles and basic concepts in a complex and bizarre game. Okay, so bishop into e2, connecting the two rooks. After the queen move, you can go queen c2, you can connect the rooks, development is complete. Bishop goes to c7. Okay, rook into e1, challenging this open file. Bishop b6, okay, that's the point of bishop c7 to b6, a much better square on b6, pinning the king on f2. Okay, king into g1 here, knight e5 was played. Now let's take a look at bishop takes d4 check. It's a pawn, yeah. But then again, the main problem, the downside to bishop takes d4 is that it opens up this line for the king. Yeah, when there's no pawn on that file, that's an open file, and the king is vulnerable on that file. And there's also a potential discovered attack with bishop a5. Okay, so black has to be very careful. He played knight e5. Queen e5 was also a possibility here, and I don't know, maybe white to play bishop a5, yes, and maybe transfer that queen somewhere to g5 or whatsoever, but it's hard to explain a complex game. Okay, knight e5, look at this, developing the knight, exploiting the pin, centralizing the knight, also giving a line for that bishop. King into h1, moving out of the danger zone, moving out of this dark square diagonal from a7 to g1. Knight into c6, okay, that is probably the plan with that knight. Same as the bishop from d6 to c7 to b6, repositioning knight on to e5 to c6, repositions the knight, attacks d4 with the bishop and the knight. Okay, that's just about it. Nice move by Aronian, b3, right? Pawns are the integral part of black's defense, so you got to break those pawns and break these pawns, especially this pawn c4 if you want to open up the file, open up the c file. Yeah, undermining. Yeah, you undermine that pawn with b3. c3. Dominguez wants to keep it close because if he decides to capture, for example, queen takes b3, the queen hits the knight. If the bishop protects the knight on d5, this bishop takes b5, right? Everything opens up. Rook comes into play with rook e6, queen takes d5, yes. White's pieces are just rolling over the board. Okay, so c3, bishop takes b5, covert attack, threatening knight on c6, threatening rook on e8. So bishop into d7, rook takes e8 check, bishop takes e8, bishop e1, okay, moving by the bishop, knight is d4, well, not afraid of the dark. Knight is protecting, bishop is protecting the knight on e4, and then for bishop takes e8, c2, okay, an intermediate move, a bit dangerous pawn because the pawn is about to promote on c1. Queen into d3, hitting h7 over there. Rook is taking away that c1 square. The queen is also protecting b3 because the knight is attacking that pawn on b3. This is just making it simple, but we actually never know what's in their minds. Yeah? This is a very crazy position. So king takes e8, of course, they just take a piece. Yeah, 3 pieces you just take. Bishop d2. Okay, taking away that square, bishop and the rook. Although, if you want to release the pressure on this one, at least get that into the game, knight goes to e2. Take away the defender of c2 if you want. If you're afraid of that pawn on c2, you can take it away with knight e2. Queen e5, for example, knight takes e4. If let's say queen takes e4, just takes on d4, takes on d4. Then you have rook c1, knight into e3, bishop e2. Take the knight, you take the pawn. And if bishop takes on d4, this rook c1, you can capture with queen c2. Bishop b2, there's an intermediate attack also on the queen. Yep. Bishop protects e1, rook c2 is coming. Okay, so bishop d2 was played. Black has queen e5, rook into c1, f5, queen into c4. It's so hard to assess this position. Yeah, it's anybody's game. King is not safe on e8 for sure, but white's back rank is also not safe. Pawn is on c2. It's a potential queen, so white has to be extra careful. You have 2 active knights in the middle. Okay, but knight e3. This is, I guess, the decisive mistake. It would have been better maybe f4. Still be unclear. f4, and then if you go knight e4, then you go knight e3. Yes, at least that knight is stable with the protection of the pawn on f4. Because look at the difference when he played knight e3. Aronian went for queen c8, king to f7, queen to d7 check, king, and now white uses that important f4 square. Right? Black played queen e6. Now, if you capture, for example, on f4, there's queen e8. Whoops, the knight. Right, double attack on the knight on e3. Okay, it's an easy to miss tactic, of course, because in a complicated game, it's just hard to calculate all this crazy lines. Yeah, and anything can happen in a game like this. This is just so dynamic. There's so many imbalances left and right. Well, so queen e6 takes, simplify, takes, knight into e2. Knight goes to g4, just g3, right? Line for the king. It's safe to open up the light square because the bishop is on a dark square, right? Open up the line opposite to the line of the bishop. So that's king safety. Knight into c5, b4. Knight d3 takes on c2. Now the attack is gone, and white is just going to simplify into a winning endgame here. Knight gf2, king g2. Knight into e4, this knight into c1. Here, black resigned, nothing to play here for black. If you take on c1, this bishop takes c1, rook and bishop is so much better than bishop and knight. All right, this game was just so bizarre, so complex, so sharp. I don't suggest this to our young players, but what I can say is that, okay, if you want a fighting game, play those imbalances, yeah, but at least try to find a concrete line, yeah, a line which is suitable for your style, and also it may be aggressive, but at least you know all this, the ins and outs of the game, yeah, and you're ready for all these complications. Well, because this is just maybe this is a computer. Of course, this is a computer preparation. I'm really not a fan of computer lines. Yeah, I'm more into the traditional type of player. Okay, just calculating, and okay, creativity is there. You want to also muddy the waters, but in a different taste. Yeah, this one is too much for me also. Okay, but it's exciting to see games like this. Yeah, it's better than seeing those early exchanges, and then it will petter out into a boring draw. Yeah, and this was a fight. It was a good fight, and Aronian stops Dominguez' run in the semifinals. Although Dominguez still has a chance to tie it and go into the tiebreak. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Right, that's about it. So that's the other semifinals. The Nakamura won over Report in their first game also. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow with the second game of the semifinals. Both Report and Dominguez has to win the second round for them to have a chance to go into the tiebreak, and still has a chance to play in the finals. But for now, it's Nakamura and Aronian nearing the finals, 2 Americans. So guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for the second knockout game of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Berlin, Germany. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.